My mother, as the daughter of a civil servant, her foreign language was English, and my father was Italian speaking, completely. I've never spoken before about my father and my mother. One thing I wanted to say was how I used to hear them arguing about the 7 Giugno. Because my father, obviously with his Italian background and everything, saw it one way. And my mother, with her civil service background and the British, saw another one. So, Maltese was the language they really shared. Ommi kienet tifhem bil-Italjan u missieri kien jifhem l-Ingliż. Jiena kont nitgħallem il-Malti li jitkellmu huma, però pereżempju ommi li dejjem bl-Ingliż kienet tkellimni u hu bl-Ingliż infarrak. Għax mit-Taljan, mhux qed ngħidlek li ma kienx jitkellem tajjeb ta' bl-Ingliż għax studja l-Ingilterra. Imma kien ikun hemm ħafna, kif aħna ngħidu ħafna Ingliżati fil-Malti. U kien ikollu ħafna Taljanati fl-Ingliż. U mela, bla trid tibda minn żejra. Tinduna il-lingwi kif għalmelu jiena ma kontx naf li qed. Sa wara meta analizzajt bdejt ninduna. Imma bejniethom bil-Malti kienu jitkellmu. Ma kienux jaraw li għaw civil service forsi iżjed. Infatti ċerta affarijiet li il-papa u l-mama kienu forsi jiklaxjaw ftit mhux fuq il-Malti kif issemm il-Malti u l-Ingliż, imma bejn l-Italjan u l-Ingliż kienet ovvja li l-Malti jitkellmuh għax huma Maltin. Mbagħad kien hemm li kellem bit-Taljan għax hekk kien edukat, għax ma stajtx taqra affarijiet bil-Malti dak iż-żmien, bdew l-ewwel kodba mbagħad. Meta kont sejra jiena, mbagħad meta ġejt biex nistudja u nħobb naqra, kollu laqas ma kienu jeżistu. Ktib bil-Malti, xi ħaġa ta' Ġusellu l-Mercer waqt li qed nikber. Wara kien hemm ovvja li skoprejna u ħafna ta' Ġwan Mamo u hekk, imma speċi ta' ħafna affarijiet li kienu jeżistu. Laqas ma konna nafu bihom, għax ma kien hawn kodba. Dik oħra x'kienu jgħidu għax ma taqrax bil-Malti, sorry, jekk ma jeżistux. U jien kif se nħallem suġġett bħal ġeografi jekk ma jeżistux il-kodba bil-Malti. Jew kodba oħra. U issa bdew il-kodba u kif, thank God. U għaw ħafna reġa' minn għaw ħafna nixqed jiktbu letteratura Maltija. Li rrid ngħidlek hija billi qatt ma smajt ġoddar kontra l-fqar u kontra dak qatt ma smajt. Meta pereżempju jiena kont noħroġ kien ikun hemm ħafna tal-lagħba. Kingsgate u ħlif li kien kompletament differenti dak iż-żmien. Mhux ta' qablu terġa' jmin tal-diek. U kien ikun hemm ħafna tal-lagħba, ħafna minnhom għadhom bil-blonnella. U kont il-mama dejjem tagħthom ukoll, però kont ngħidilha ma għaliex. Anki meta tibda tikter, anki meta jkollok 12 sena, 13 sena, konna nimxu sal-Poljana. Għalija kienet ħaġa li ma stajtx nifhimha, għax insa tiftakar li dak iż-żmien kellek 13, illum il-ġurnata min ikun 13 jaf ħafna. Imma meta qiegħda ġo Island, bil-backgrounds li kellek. Kont jiena dak iż-żmien kont naqra lil Charles Dickens. U kont nikbi għal Charles Dickens. U laqqas kelli idea li kemm taqbes il-bħar dakka kien hemm in-nies fl-istess sitwazzjonijiet. Għalhekk meta mbagħad il-Ġermanja bdejt nara u nisma' hekk, oħra kienet li kont ngħix fil-letteratura. Jiġifieri mmorru niklu, il-mama kienet tirrabja nipprova naħbi ktieb ġo ħoġri. Fis-sodda Good Night and No Reading kont ġaħbejt ktieb u torċ. Jiġifieri, minn sejra kont bdejt id-Brighton u daw l-affarijiet. The Happy Prince għalija kien ta' Oscar Wilde kien il-bażi ta' ħajti, l-istorja ta' The Happy Prince. U ħafna affarijiet li kont naqra. Jiġifieri jien twilit ukoll b'dawn l-affarijiet kienu jarawni strambi n-nies li rrid nitgħallem, ifhimni, u l-letteratura. U infatti papalek imbagħadni Paruġa wkoll. Għax meta spiċċajt l-iskola kulħadd se jmur jaħdem it-tfajliet kif wara l-gwerra. Fimtni? Għatlu le ma rridx ikopri l-istudja, maċi argumenta miegħi bat li konna grupp. Jiġifieri mill-iskola konna morna Peruġa fejn morna t-sorjiet li ma jilbsux ta' sorjiet. U ċejt lura dak l-airport differenti wkoll, għajmin jemma li toħroġ mill-aeroplan ta' Rom. Kom dejt najjat, għadni fuq it-taraċ, għax teħmek. I want to go to university, I want to go to university. But what happened was that when I went to Cambridge, at the beginning I was very homesick. We used to travel a lot with Papa because she'd learn everything about the places she was going to. Of course, at the time with the Iron Curtain, we couldn't go to certain places. So I was used to that, but we always returned to Malta. But then in Cambridge, first of all, I'd never been a student abroad. Also in a way, but it did me a great deal of good. Well, yes and no, because I was never proud of my achievements. I almost sometimes used to feel a bit guilty for doing so well. But I tell you why, because I found everything is interesting. And many of both at school and at university did it. A lot of them were studying for a future. Whereas for me, I did it for the moment. I was interested, in fact, even in literature. If there was a period or some writers I didn't like, I couldn't even write about them. Sorry, not I didn't like, I was indifferent to. You know, like the Augustan age, you know. Dryden and a lot of people like that. As dry as Dryden or something like that. Since then, I've realized that I was mistaken about a lot of things. But at the time, my God, is this poetry? This has just been clever. You know? So yes, I found myself there, the first Maltese girl in the college. Those people around, I mean, you know, they'd really studied to get to Cambridge or Oxford. This was an idea of my external examiner, because when we sat for mock exams, I'd done well. I'd done better than I actually did in my exam, because it was all, you know, I mean, I just wrote. And then when the exams approaching, you study more. And he had told me, look, you are reproducing. Very often you're writing what the others are writing because you're studying your notes. And he told me what I liked about you, this was when I wasn't sitting for the exams, except, was precisely that you came out with ideas which other people didn't. You know, and you were obviously so interested in those ideas that you followed things up. So anyway, he was the one who suggested I go to Cambridge. And when I saw the paper, I thought, oh, I'm never going to be able to get in, as if I can answer half the things there, you know. Apparently, I was lucky that year. And I think they only let in, in all were about 300. And I think they only let in 100 every year. And about 30 were foreigners. But, you know, I realized this afterward, you know. And it was not as expensive as now if you don't have the, you know, I mean, now if they really have Brexit, it's going to be terrible for people who want to go there. But like my father said, you know, he said sort of, she doesn't have a scholarship, I'll have to pay. Mind you, he was really keen on my going, yeah? But someone had once told him, Alfie, don't fuck dak il-flus, you know, someone of the upper circles. But I remember it was a Maltese because she liked to relate it. Alfie, tħallas dak il-flus kollha biex imbagħad tiżżewweġ. U għal xejn, Inti told her, għax missieri kien my sister was outrageous. U eżattament, Alla biex ma toħroġ bħalek. Għallek riġina outspoken aħna kompletament. U mela, l-iskola kont, waħda ma kontx liġi l-ewwel, għax hopeless fil-matematika. Jiġifieri jien meta kont bdejt imbur, ma kienx hemm tfajliet, ħafna minnhom kienu jkunu jew iridu jsiru mhux avukati, għal volja qabli kien hemm waħda kienet ġiet l-ewwel Elsa Vassallo. Li kienet Vella dak iż-żmien u Ina Cremona li kienet anki daw kienu ġew it-tnejn top of the course. Kelli ħabiba tridet tidħol engineer dak iż-żmien għallula l issa ma jidħlux. Bibni? U kelli jiena biex nidħol kelli nieħu l-Malti nibdeħ mill-bidu fejja St. Joseph, ara kemm jgħidu għax kienu snobs ma dawk sorijiet Irish kienu mela dawn jifmu bil-Malti. Konna naħseb fl-università kollha ma kienx hemm iżjed minn 8 tfajliet jew 10. U konna tlieta kienu jiċċajtaw ħafna bina. Jien pereżempju kont tallimt nilgħab il-billiards, kont vera nħobb. Anyway, u jekk pereżempju jien qed nilgħab il-billiards magħhom u tidħol Mavis jew waħda mill-oħrajn, kont tisma' xi ħadd daqshekk kliem ħażin għax daħlet barra. Jiena qiegħda u tfatoċ. Issa kera ma kontx dak iż-żmien, jiġifieri, ma tant drawni. U kont niġbor ħafna kliem bil-Malti, dik għalhekk tallimt il-Malti wkoll. Imma ħafna kliem ma kontx naf x'inhuma. U niftakar, all right, illum forsi mhux kelma ħażina. Imma jien kont weħilt bil-Malti. Il-belt konna ħafna dak iż-żmien ninżrotela. U kien hemm xi ħadd ieħor u kattilhom jien ma ddejtx bil-Malti, jien għaddejt u għallew ngħid lajk xi fottina għall-Malti u dak iż-żmien biex il-belt waqt li hemm dak il-iskola minn naħa l-oħra ngħidu nuża kien fottina barra. Għani dawn ikollhom ħafna triks il-letteratura li minħobb il-lingwa jinduna bihom biss. U jekk m'intix qed tieħu pjaċir tikteb, ma tistax tkun poeta jekk qed tikteb għall-fama, jew ħadd impressjona dawk għalija, mhux qed ngħidlek ma jiktbux tajjeb ta' ħafna minnhom. Imma għalija dik il-logħba bil-lingwa. U għalhekk naħseb bdejt nikteb bil-Malti wkoll barra li kont qiegħda il-Junior College. Aħna l-Maltin id-doppju sens qiegħed fina għax sempliċi laruni li għandna vokabularju żgħir, però rik immens. U meta jkolli nies bl-Ingliż li jgħiduli għaliex tikteb bil-Malti tikteb tant tajjeb bl-Ingliż. Għax ċerta affarijiet ma nistax tgħidhom bl-Ingliż. Insomma, ħalli niġi lura, infatti anke l-poeżiji Maltin issa se joħorġu being phased out, thank God. Tajdi għaliex thank God. Għax ħafna jew hemm min iħobbhom tal-għaġeb u dawk huma n-nies li jew iridu daka jew imma hemm ħafna nies isibuhom diffiċli wisq. Għaliex bil-fors meta kienu talbuni l-ewwel darba biex jużawhom, kont qedtilhom le. Jiena ma rridx tal-moment ma jridx jitallimhom. U mbagħad isiru jobgħodu il-poeżija tiegħi jekk jogħġbok, ħalli jaqrawha biex imbagħad insomma kienu qaluli jekk ma nagħmlux tiegħek nagħmlu, infatti jagħmlu mbagħad wieħed li kien iżjed dak. Kull skola kien iżjed faċli u kull skola kellha tagħżel. Imma kienu għawek se jazlu xaħat. Kien ħafna żjed diffiċli u bil-Malti. Għax il-letteratura Maltija meta bdiet kienet affarijiet, esperjenzi li kienu jafu li żjed. Familja, reliġjon u patriotizmu. U bat wara kellek meta ġew ir-ribelli ta' żmien ta' Oliver Friġġieri, u ma kienx ir-ribell kbir, imma Mario Azzopardi u daw. What they did was, a lot of them, I think, also chose subjects on purpose to shock. You know? Which I don't think in themselves weren't good. Thank God, but there was a streak in them also of sensationalism. Not all of them, and not all the time. But there was also a streak of contempt. Now, if something is good, or if you don't like it, perhaps somebody else will. Why have to have always it doesn't mean when I say that the early poets, all right, they had this subject. You had a person like Loranne Vella, whom his poetry is amazing. And Durkheim, who I was never very keen on also because he was a priest, has some very good ones. And sorry about Maltese. The poet who is our poet, Lawreat, he started in Italian, not in Maltese. Please don't be like that about languages. The more the merrier. I was the first full-time women to get, I was one, before I was an assistant lecturer, then I became a full-time lecturer, and I think I was the first Maltese woman to become a full-time lecturer. Unfortunately, with circumstances as they were, I'd resigned to go to Oxford, with my husband, because we didn't have sabbatical in those days. It would have been so much easier. I could have taken a sabbatical. But the pull of going to Oxford, being able to go to the lectures again, without being part of the whole system, without having to take exams, was too attractive. And then, so I resigned, which was a big mistake, and yet not. If I had stayed on, I would have had to do lots of administrative work, and I'm hopeless at that kind of thing. And also my approach to certain subjects would have been completely different, so there would have been a lot of clashes. Because I tend to, if I'm listening to something new, later I'll question it in my mind, but though I seem to talk a lot when there's something new going, I listen a lot. I talk a lot, but people don't realize how much I listen. And I probably would never have got round to writing myself. I think I'm quite intelligent. I'm interested in everything. My poetry is philosophical mainly. But yes, what I involved, I was far more concerned when I was young with I think I'm more capable of funny poems now. Anyway, I'll answer. But I'm thinking it out,